Have you ever stopped to think about how useful it would be to understand what people are really feeling, even when they don't say it in words? In a world where interactions are often superficial and rushed, developing the ability to interpret nonverbal signals can be a powerful advantage. From the movement of a look to the posture of a body, each gesture is like a piece of a puzzle that reveals hidden emotions and intentions. Knowing how to read people doesn't mean manipulating or invading their privacy, but rather better understanding what is happening in an interaction. Imagine how this can transform your personal and professional relationships. You can identify moments of discomfort, curiosity, or enthusiasm without the person having to say a single word. This ability can make your conversations more meaningful, help you create true connections, and even avoid misunderstandings. In today's content, I will share 7 simple and practical steps that anyone can use in their daily lives to interpret human behavior. And best of all, each tip is accompanied by real examples that you have probably already experienced or will soon observe. After all, learning to understand people is an investment in improving both your communication and your empathy. Let's get started. Step 1. Observe body language. Body language is one of the most authentic forms of communication, as it often occurs unconsciously. Postures, gestures, and even small adjustments to the body can reveal what words don't say. When you pay attention to what someone's body is communicating, it's as if you're reading a second language, much more sincere and direct. Closed postures, such as crossed arms or drawn-up legs, often indicate discomfort, resistance, or even insecurity. Open postures, such as loose arms and the body facing forward, convey receptiveness and interest. Repetitive gestures, such as constantly fiddling with your hair, bouncing your feet, or tapping your fingers on the table, can be signs of anxiety, boredom, or nervousness. Observing these patterns can help you adjust the tone or approach of the conversation. Imagine that you're in a job interview as a recruiter. A candidate walks into the room, appearing confident. But as he starts answering questions, you notice that he is drumming his fingers on the arm of his chair and moving his legs quickly and constantly. Although his words suggest confidence, his body is communicating anxiety. At this point, you can ask questions that make him feel more comfortable, creating a less formal environment so that he can better demonstrate his true potential. Another example, on public transport, you notice a person reading a book but constantly looking around and holding the handle of his bag tightly. This body language can indicate that he feels uncomfortable or insecure in the environment. Understanding these signs can help you develop empathy and even offer assistance if necessary. Step 2. Pay attention to tone of voice. Tone of voice is one of the most revealing tools in human communication. It not only complements the words but often conveys the true emotion behind what is being said. Subtle changes in pace, volume, or intonation can give valuable clues about someone's emotional state, even when the message seems clear on the surface. What to look for in tone of voice? Number 1. Pace. A fast-paced speech can indicate anxiety or nervousness, while a slower pace can be a sign of reflection, tiredness, or even hesitation. Number 2. Volume. A raised voice can reflect excitement or irritation, while a low volume can suggest shyness, sadness, or fear. Number 3. Intonation. When the voice rises at the end of sentences, it can indicate uncertainty or doubt. A firm, steady intonation, on the other hand, usually conveys confidence. Example from everyday life. Imagine that you are discussing a project with a colleague. He answers your questions with optimistic words, but his tone of voice is slurred and low. This may indicate that he is discouraged or worried about something. Noticing this detail allows you to ask, with empathy, if something in the project is causing difficulties, showing that you value his opinion. Another example. When talking to a friend via voice message, You notice that, even though he says everything is fine, his tone sounds hesitant and full of pauses. This may be an indication that he is going through something difficult but does not want to admit it. A more sensitive approach, such as asking directly how he is feeling, can open the door to an honest conversation. How to use tone of voice to your advantage. Adjust your response. If the person seems insecure, use a warm and encouraging tone. If he sounds enthusiastic, show interest and energy to keep the conversation flowing. Listen more than you speak. When you focus on tone of voice, you are practicing active listening, an essential skill for deeper connections. Don't ignore contradictions. If the tone doesn't match the words, trust the emotion conveyed by the sound rather than the literal meaning. Tone of voice is like an emotional reflex that people often have no control over. Learning to recognize it not only enriches your understanding of interactions, but also helps you respond in a way that is more aligned with the other person's needs and feelings. Step 3. Analyze microexpressions. Microexpressions are like little flashes of truth that appear on someone's face before they can control or mask their emotions. These expressions last only a fraction of a second, but they reveal genuine feelings, such as joy, sadness, anger, or fear. They often occur so quickly that they go unnoticed, but with practice and attention, you can identify them and use them to better understand what a person is really feeling. Why are microexpressions important? Unlike other forms of communication, microexpressions are involuntary. This means that even when someone tries to hide their emotions, their face can betray what is really going on inside. This ability to detect true emotions is extremely useful in negotiations, interviews, or even in everyday conversations, helping to build empathy and establish more genuine connections. Example from everyday life. Imagine that you are having dinner with a friend, and you ask him if he is happy with his work. He responds with a smile and says, "Yes, everything is great." However, you notice a fleeting expression of sadness before he finishes his sentence. This could be an indication that he is not being completely sincere. When you notice this, you can ask in a more sensitive way, "Is everything okay? It seems like something is bothering you." This type of approach can open the door for him to share something deeper. Another example. In a work meeting, while presenting an idea, you notice a colleague frowning briefly before nodding in agreement. This small gesture may indicate that he has questions or concerns that he has not expressed verbally. This allows you to ask directly, "Would you like to add anything or suggest another approach?" How do I practice identifying microexpressions? Number 1. Study the basic emotions. Microexpressions are generally associated with the 7 universal emotions: joy, sadness, anger, disgust, surprise, fear, and contempt. Learning how each one manifests itself on the face is the first step. Number 2. Practice observation. In informal conversations, pay attention to people's faces. Pay attention to sudden changes, such as an eyebrow raise or a lip tightening. Number 3. Use empathy and context. Don't jump to conclusions. Match what you see with the tone of the conversation and the environment around you. Recognizing microexpressions is like gaining a superpower in communication. By picking up on these subtle emotions, you can better understand others, even when words don't tell the whole story. However, it's essential to use this knowledge with empathy, not to judge but to support and strengthen your relationships. A fleeting expression can be the first step towards a deeper, truer connection. Step 4. Notice eye movements. The eyes are often called the windows to the soul for a reason. They reflect emotions, thoughts, and even intentions spontaneously. Eye movement, the direction of gaze, and even the frequency of blinking can provide important clues about a person's emotional state or what they're thinking, even without them realizing it. What can eye movements reveal? 1. repeatedly looking away. This can indicate discomfort, insecurity, or even an attempt to hide something. However, it can also be a sign of shyness or nervousness in social situations. 2. Prolonged eye contact. A fixed, direct gaze can convey confidence or interest, but if it's excessive, it can come across as intimidating or manipulative. 3. Looking up or to the side. People often look up when trying to remember something or to the side when processing information or forming a response. This behavior can vary depending on the context, but observing these movements helps you better understand the moment. 4. Blinking too much or too little. Rapid blinking can be a sign of anxiety, while a few blinks can indicate intense concentration or, in some cases, tension. Imagine that you are asking a friend about an appointment that he forgot to keep. When answering, he avoids direct eye contact and looks away several times while talking. This can indicate that he is uncomfortable or that he is not telling the whole story. Noticing this detail allows you to adjust your approach, perhaps giving him space to feel more comfortable being honest. Another example. During a job interview, the recruiter maintains consistent eye contact while explaining the responsibilities of the position. This shows confidence and interest in the candidate. On the other hand, if he looks away frequently during the conversation, this can indicate distraction or disinterest, helping the candidate to adjust his posture to regain attention. How to apply it in practice? Number 1. Observe the direction of the gaze. During a conversation, notice where the person's eyes are fixed. Are they focused on you, on another person, or on the environment around them? Number 2. Interpret with caution. Averted gaze may simply be a sign of introspection and not necessarily dishonesty. Always match visual cues to the context of the situation. Number 3. Use eye contact strategically. Making eye contact at key points in a conversation demonstrates interest and helps to create a stronger connection. Eyes can say a lot, but it is essential to remember that their meaning depends on the context and the person's personality. Some people are naturally shy and avoid eye contact, while others may hold a steady gaze without necessarily indicating trust. By observing eye movements with attention and empathy, you can better understand what the other person is thinking or feeling and adjust your communication to create a more welcoming and receptive environment. Step 5. Observe the rhythm of breathing. Breathing is a powerful indicator of how a person is feeling, often revealing emotions that are not always expressed in words. When someone is nervous, anxious, or under stress, their breathing tends to speed up, becoming more shallow. On the other hand, when a person is relaxed or at ease, their breathing tends to be deeper and more rhythmic. This pattern can be a direct reflection of internal emotions and thoughts, making it a valuable tool for reading people without them realizing it. What can the rhythm of breathing indicate? 1. Rapid breathing. If someone starts to breathe faster and shallower, this can be a clear sign of anxiety, nervousness, or even tension in a conversation. 2. Slow and deep breathing. When a person breathes in a more controlled manner, this usually indicates calm and confidence. 3. Sighing or holding the breath. A deep sigh or momentary lack of breathing can be an unconscious response to a difficult situation, such as emotional discomfort, frustration, or relief. 4. Rapid changes. Sudden changes in breathing rate, such as starting to breathe faster after being asked a sensitive or personal question, can indicate that something has touched a nerve. Imagine that you are having dinner with a colleague and, during the conversation, you ask about his latest relationship. At first, he responds with a relaxed smile, but as the conversation deepens, you begin to notice that his breathing is becoming faster and shallower. This is a clear sign that he may be becoming anxious or uncomfortable with the topic. If you notice this signal, you can soften the conversation or change the subject, showing sensitivity to what he is feeling. Another example. In a work meeting, your boss starts to explain a new project, But when you ask a question about deadlines, you notice that he is breathing very shallowly and quickly, almost as if he is swallowing the answer. This may indicate that he is worried about the progress of the project or unsure about what is happening. When you notice this, you can offer more emphatic support, perhaps by suggesting solutions or offering to collaborate more actively. How do I apply this in practice? 1. Notice subtle changes. Don't just focus on whether your breathing is fast or slow, but also how it changes during the conversation. Abrupt changes in breathing rhythm can be a sign that something is emotionally upsetting. 2. Pay attention to the context. Remember that rapid breathing can be natural in situations of excitement, but if it is combined with other signs of discomfort, it can be a reflection of anxiety or stress. 3. Adjust your approach. If you notice that someone is breathing fast or shallow, adapt your communication. Be softer, more empathetic, and attentive, creating a more relaxed environment. Breathing is one of the most direct ways to perceive how someone is feeling internally. By observing the speeding up or slowing down of breathing, you can identify when a person is comfortable or uncomfortable in a conversation. This simple adjustment in breathing rhythm can provide the key to better understanding what the other person is going through, allowing for more empathetic and adaptive communication. By becoming more aware of your breathing rhythm, you not only gain a valuable skill for interpreting emotions, but you also create a more welcoming and respectful environment in your interactions. Step 6. Consider the social context. Our behavior is not a constant. It is shaped by the situations and environments in which we find ourselves. This means that in order to understand a person more fully, it is essential to consider the social context in which they are placed. What may seem like strange or unexpected behavior may actually be a natural response to the situation or group in question. By paying attention to these nuances, you can better interpret people's actions and respond more empathetically. The social context influences how people act, speak, and behave. Someone's behavior in a business meeting will be different than their behavior at a friend's house or at a party. This is because different environments bring different expectations and social pressures. Someone may be quieter in a group of strangers, but in the comfort of an intimate gathering, they may loosen up and be more expressive. Changes in behavior in groups. In a social setting with many people, someone may act more outgoing, but if the group breaks up and they are alone or in a small circle, their behavior may become more reserved or reflective. Adjustments in behavior depending on the relationship. In a business meeting, people tend to be more formal, while in a casual conversation, communication is more free and open. Example from everyday life. Imagine that you are at a birthday party and you see a very outgoing friend, usually the center of attention, suddenly retreating to a corner. He is quiet, avoiding groups, and seems oblivious to the fun going on around him. This could be a sign that something has bothered him, perhaps an uncomfortable conversation or an interaction that made him feel out of place. Instead of ignoring the behavior, you can approach him and ask, in a polite way, "Are you okay? It seems like something bothered you." This type of perception is even more important in groups. For example, in a work meeting where everyone is discussing a project, if a normally vocal person suddenly becomes quiet, it could be a reflection that they are not comfortable with the direction of the conversation or have a different opinion but do not want to express it at the moment. This is a sign that you should consider approaching them privately, asking what they think about the topic. How to apply the concept of social context in practice. 1. Observe the general behavior of the environment. Pay attention to the dynamics of the group and the interactions between people. This can help you identify whether someone's behavior is in tune with the context or if it is misaligned. 2. Be aware of sudden changes. If someone changes their behavior in the middle of a conversation or event, it could indicate that the context is affecting their emotions or perceptions. For example, A person who is participating and suddenly withdraws may be reacting to a change in the tone of the conversation or the impact of a comment made by another. 3. Ask with empathy. When you notice behavior that is out of the ordinary for a given social context, be open and non-judgmental. A simple question can open the door to a deeper conversation and reveal what is really going on. Human behavior does not occur in a vacuum. It is always embedded in a social context that directly influences how people behave. Considering the environment when interpreting someone's actions allows for a more accurate and respectful reading. By noticing changes in behavior in different contexts, you can be more sensitive to the needs and emotions of others, enabling more effective communication and more genuine connections. By integrating the social context into your perception, you transform the way you interact with people, creating a space for empathy and understanding. Step 7. Assess communication patterns. Everyone has their own style of communication, and this way of expressing oneself goes far beyond words. The pace of speech, the choice of vocabulary, and the way someone articulates their ideas can provide valuable insights into that person's emotional state, their intentions, and even their insecurities. Verbal communication is not limited to the content of the words, but also to the patterns that emerge in a conversation. What can communication patterns reveal? 1. Repetition of words or phrases. When someone repeats a phrase like "it's no big deal" or "I don't want to bother you," it can be a sign that they are trying to minimize an issue or hide an emotion. Repetition can suggest that the person is not completely comfortable or wants to avoid confronting something deeper. 2. Use of vague or evasive words. If someone constantly uses vague words like "I think" or "maybe," they may be avoiding giving a definitive answer, either out of insecurity or because they don't want to commit. 3. Changes in speech rate. Changes in the rate or speed of speech can indicate nervousness or attempts to control the situation. Someone who speaks faster may be trying to end the conversation or avoid the argument, while someone who speaks slower may be reflecting or trying to weigh their words. 4. Emotional word choice. When a person chooses emotionally charged words, such as "this destroyed me" or "I can't take it anymore," they may be revealing the profound impact something has had on them, even if they are trying to appear calm. A real-life example. Imagine a friend tells you about a problem at work, but each time they mention the difficulty, they say, "It's no big deal. I'll figure it out." They repeat this phrase several times during the conversation, as if they are trying to minimize the seriousness of the situation. This may be a sign that they are actually feeling overwhelmed but don't want to admit that they are struggling or that the problem is bigger than they want to accept. This repetition suggests that they are trying to avoid vulnerability, possibly out of fear of appearing weak or insecure. Another example. In a business meeting, a colleague starts talking about an idea that he or she isn't entirely sure about, and you notice that he or she uses words like "maybe" and "I think," and that he or she hesitates frequently. This could be a sign that he or she isn't fully confident in the proposal or is waiting for external approval before committing. Using these words makes his or her position ambiguous, and if you notice this pattern, you can adjust the conversation to provide more clarity or support. How do you assess communication patterns? 1. Look for consistency in words. Pay attention to the repetition of specific phrases or terms. If someone insists on minimizing something or using evasive expressions, this could indicate that the person doesn't want to reveal the whole truth or is uncomfortable with what he or she is saying. Consider the emotional tone. The choice of words with a strong emotional charge, such as "terrible" or "wonderful," can reflect how emotionally involved the person is with the situation. This can indicate the degree of impact or the intensity with which he or she is experiencing the moment. 3. Pay attention to hesitation or changes in pace. If someone starts speaking more quickly when approaching a sensitive topic or more slowly when they need to concentrate, this pattern can be a clue that something is being said. Changes in the pace of speech often reflect emotional states or attempts to avoid a sensitive topic. The way a person communicates goes far beyond the words they choose. The way they speak, the speed at which they speak, the choice of terms, and the repetition of phrases can all provide important clues about their thoughts and feelings. Assessing these communication patterns can help you spot when someone is hiding something, avoiding an answer, or minimizing a situation. By becoming more aware of these subtle signs, you can adjust your approach to be more empathetic, offering support or asking more pointed questions to better understand what the person is really trying to communicate. Now that you know the 7 essential steps to read people without them knowing, you can start applying these strategies in your daily life and improve your interactions, whether at work, with friends, or in your personal life. Observing body language, tone of voice, microexpressions, breathing rhythm, social context, communication patterns. All of these can transform the way you connect with others. If you like these tips and want to learn more about how to understand and deal with people more effectively, subscribe to the Modern Life, Ancient Wisdom channel. Every week, I bring more valuable content to help you develop emotional intelligence and practical wisdom in your daily life. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. Let's explore together more about how the human mind works and how we can use this knowledge to improve our relationships and our lives.